Oh, excuse me, guys. He had a brief technical difficulty. What's going on? I'm your host, Brandon Choi, and welcome to This Week in Pop Culture, the show in which we bring you up to speed on the goings on in the world of pop culture, whether we're talking about film and TV, tech news, entertainment business, theater news, and the like. We try to bring you up to speed so that way you are not left alone in the wind. And typically, we do have a guest host joining us. Spillman, he'll be joining us momentarily. But we had quite a few things that went on this past week in the world of pop culture. If you're taking a look in the background, you'll know that we will be diving into the information surrounding the Scrubs revival that is soon to be on the way, along with news about a Hot Wheels movie adaptation that we will dive into as well. But before we do that, there was some other news for us to discuss, whether we're talking about a small little show on Netflix that is making its sophomore return with its second season, because they had recently dropped a trailer this past week. And we will be also talking about some sports news in terms of player movement, as well as players that are re-upping with their current teams. So without further ado, let's dive in. And before I get into the first topic today, I wanted to give you guys a heads up, as I always notify you guys, to let you know that we will have timestamps of the stories that we will be covering on today's episode. So, you know, if you're not joining us live and you're joining us after the fact, after we've already aired, we will have a lot of those said topics that you're able to skip forward to, should you so choose. So, with that said, I want to get into our first story. I'm going to bring that up now. Give me one moment. And that is centered around a trailer for Wednesday that dropped this past said week. And just to, you know, dive into a little further details about our show Wednesday, this trailer dropped fittingly on Wednesday, and matching with the title of the series. Following, of course, the Addams Family daughter's second year at Nevermore, the highly anticipated sophomore season of the Netflix series follows the title character as she tangles with a new principal, a devious campus stalker, and a waning grip on her psychic powers. Following a staggered release, the series is going to be broken up into two releases, with part one, its first set of episodes, dropping on August 6th, and its second set of episodes following afterwards on September 3rd. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when we're talking about Wednesday, I'll be honest, I was a little late to the party when we're, you know, talking about this said series. I know there have been, you know, so many memes and so many things that have been discussed when we're talking about or released when we're talking about this said show. And I'll be honest, if as someone who came, you know, late to the game with this series, you know, I appreciated a lot of the tropes that the series had to offer in the way of mystery, in the way of its horror tropes. Because anyone who knows me knows that I love my horror shows and my and that particular genre. So it was, a nice change of pace to, have a series that was able to balance a lot of different tropes. And it was also equally impressive if we're considering the fact that we have a series that's technically not really it is a series that's kind of catered to, I guess you could say, the YA audience, so preteens or what have you, but there are a lot of elements in this show that are quite mature. And so I was impressed with the fact that while there are some elements that one could attribute to that type of that audience. It still wasn't talking down to its audience in terms of its storytelling, and in terms of how how it was able to address certain elements in the show. So I'm definitely looking forward, to this said series, and what is in store, for Wednesday, and all the challenges that she is, you know, undoubtedly set to face in the upcoming season. It was nice to see a lot of familiar faces. There are some new faces, of course. Seeing that it is a new year at Nevermore, but um, I'm definitely looking forward to what they're able to do with this upcoming season. So you guys can let me know in the comments how you feel one way or another about Wednesday. Were you guys already on? I don't want to call it the bandwagon, but I'll just say, were you all guys already on board when the season first started, or were you latecomers like myself in joining the said show, and kind of joining that said fan base of folks with this show after the fact? I'm just curious to know, because I know a lot of times that it can happen, across the board with many shows. There are quite a few shows out there that I came late to the game to. Another one that comes to mind for me is True Blood. Like, I didn't immediately hop onto that show, and that was a series that I came late to the game to. Mind you, I didn't come late enough where I didn't that I wasn't able to catch up before the second season, but late enough where, just like with this show, there have been plenty of memes, plenty of various things that had been uh, uh, become a part of the pulp culture zeitgeist, if you will, when it came to that said show. So we're going to switch gears to our sports cooler talk, because we did have some player movement. So let me get that there. And it looks like we have our co-host with us. So let me see if I can get him on now. See if we have him here. Spills, what's going on, sir?
Good afternoon. We're afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How's it
It
going,
is
everybody?
afternoon, yes. So I wanted to get your thoughts. I was talking about the fact that we did have the Wednesday trailer that dropped this past week. I don't know if you were like me, because I was commenting on the fact that there is an interesting dynamic that happens when you're watching a said series. Sometimes you hop on the show and you connect with it immediately, and then other times you're kind of skeptical about the show, and you kind of join the party, so to speak, after the fact. In which camp were you when it came to this series? Were you on board immediately, or did you come on later?
I call myself, I'm not a Tim Burton person. Like, I know that this is not a Tim Burton property, but I feel like, that hot topicy, grungy, emo kind of thing, that's not really my bag all the time, ladies and gentlemen. But I do enjoy the Addams Family. Obviously Raul Julia was I'm a big fan of his. So the 90s version was big in my house and youth. So I gave this a chance. I watched some of them. but I'm interested in season two. It seems to be very popular. That young lady Ortega, that's the lead. She seems to be pretty hot in the content creation street. So I'm interested in that.
No, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So, I mean, it sounds like you're in a similar camp as me, where you can
We're
kind of
not the
came up.
demo for that show for the most part. I don't think 40 old men are the demo for the Wednesday show. Maybe if
It's
it was
not.
like the whole
It's
Adams
not, which is
family.
why, like, it wasn't. I was a little skeptical in hopping on board immediately, but I can say that again, as someone who likes the horror genre, there's enough there that if you are a fan of that genre, that there is some elements in terms of what they sprinkle in there that you can enjoy. The dialogue is not, is not, it is actually very witty and very quippy. So like I do enjoy that element of it too. That was another component that I unexpectedly was able to enjoy as well. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with series like these, that again, as you said, aren't are not the demo, and you're really catering to that young adult audience. The dialogue very much suffers as a result, and that's not the I don't feel like that's the case here. I feel like it's still quite witty and quite good, considering what the demo you would expect this show to be for.
Hmm.
But with that being said, we're going to switch gears to our sports cooler talk, because we did have some things to dive into with the NBA. So I'm going to bring that up for us now. And this is we're going to talk about a couple of things in terms of some re-ups that happen, as well as re-ups being extensions, as well as teams that picked up some players in free agency. So starting off with the let's see, beginning on Monday, Shams Charania reported that the Heat forward Kevin Love would be shipped to the Jazz as part of a three-team trade, which saw the Los Angeles Clippers send guard Normal Powell to Miami, the Utah Jazz forward John Collins to Los Angeles, and Kyle Anderson in a 2027 Clippers second round pick, in addition to Love, mentioned earlier, to the Jazz. Additionally, that day, we saw the New York Knicks announce the addition of Jordan Clarkson as he agreed to a 1-year, $3.6 million deal. Tuesday saw the Denver Post reveal, per team sources, that franchise centerpiece Nikola Jokic declined an extension with the Nuggets. On Wednesday, Shams reported that franchise forward Chet Holmgren agreed to a 5-year extension with the Thunder worth $250 million. Not to be outdone, franchise guard Devin Booker signed a 2-year, $145 million extension with the Suns, making it the most lucrative extension salary on record, following the one set by SGA's extension 8 days earlier, which of course we mentioned on the show last week. On Thursday, the Thunder secured another franchise piece as a forward Jalen Williams agreed to a 5-year contract worth $287 million. So Spills, I provided a general sense of some player movement that we had. We had some re-ups, and then in a rare case, we had a player who declined the extension. So your thoughts on the moves made by teams and those existing players that were secured by their respective teams?
Well, let's knock out these smaller name people. No offense to them, but the Jordan Clarkson move and the Kevin Love move.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Kevin Love took this deal. I imagine that he does not want to live in Utah, but I think that he probably wants that money, so he's probably going to
Right.
move with them. He's at a point in his career where I think that he's a player coach, as you could look at him. He's got the experience. He's been a 2010 guy. He's been an all-star. He's been a champion. So I'm sure that the organization like the Jazz, who are kind of rebuilding, are looking to put him in as a piece to help with some of their
Mentorship.
bigs. You mentored those guys. I think that they did just draft the big in the lottery this year. So I'm interested to see what they do. Actually, no, they didn't draft the big. They drafted a kid that was supposed to go to that said he wanted to go to the Wizards, but
Yes.
he's a maturity person. That guy seems like he needs some guidance. Rutgers isn't exactly the best basketball school for preparatory to the NBA. So that's interesting. Jordan Clarkson signing with the Knicks. I think that the Knicks are really pushing, like signing like him for the $3 million for 1 year. That's definitely trying to make a move to make a championship team out of the Knicks. So I'm very interested in that. Then as we move into people like Djokovic not signing his extension, as a big time Lakers fan, as you guys know, you think he's going to go and try to play with Luka? Do you think that's what's going to happen, Brandon? What do
I
you
don't
think? You
know.
think?
I'm saying, like, do y'all have the resources to get him? Like, are you
Yeah, we
going to?
do. We got a billionaire. We got the buses are no longer owning the team anymore. He didn't sign that extension, so
Yeah, I know, but does that
that's
mean
right.
y'all really going to get rid of your boy? They going to really pull what they pull with Dame and do the same thing with Braun and buy him out. I don't know. You think that's a because
I don't
that's the
think
only
that LeBron
that's the only
plays.
reality I can see where they will be able to get Joker.
I don't think that LeBron plays another year after this year. 24 years in the NBA is like 100 years in real life. So to me, I just don't see him playing another year. So that contract could be what that contract is. I don't know if he's playing another year. I think he might have just picked up the 1 year. So we'll see. Um, the moves for Chet and them re-signing, and then the 2 year for Devin Booker. That's interesting, but the rich get richer. I feel like those people have earned those chips, those contracts. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll just say this: when we're going down the list of folks that are uh, that we have that are getting extensions and those that are re-ups, each of the re-ups all make sense as each player is key to their respective team success going forward. The Suns desperately need Booker as they don't really, let's be honest, have much else. I mean, they don't have KD anymore. With him moving on. And the Thunder need Holmgren and Williams as they're going to compete. As they push to compete for more titles. However, out of all of this, I feel like the most fascinating move is Clarkson with the Knicks because the East will be wide open next season with many of the teams out of the contender picture due to signature franchise players being out due to injury. So similar to folks, looking back on a trade that sent SGA to the Thunder, and we know what happened with that scenario. I feel like a lot of people may potentially look back on this trade, considering what Clarkson can bring to the picture for the Knicks in terms of their versatility and their depth.
Yeah,
So, because I feel like people may not feel that way. Some people may not feel that way, but I do. I feel like 3 million for Clarkson is a steal,
that's a steal.
considering
No, I agree. I
considering how
agree.
much considering how much he can provide in terms of the depth for your team, and his scoring. That's a steal to get him at 3 million. It
Yeah.
really is. So the other piece of it that I find fascinating is that unlike some superstars, I feel like Joker is probably the the less the probably the less least hot maintenance one of the least hot maintenance superstars that we have, where you don't really hear much about him. He does his job, and then when it's all said and done, whether he wins a title or he doesn't win a title, you know, he goes back home, he minds his business, and then he gets ready for the next year. So to the fact that he has made the decision to not accept the extension when all signs would point to him just kind of going along, trying to work with his franchise, and now deciding to not move forward with it. It tells me a couple of things. A, he's in a very, not in a very blatant sense, but in a very indirect sense, looking above and trying to see if the grass is a little greener somewhere
Yeah.
else. But
I
also,
mean, I think he looked great in purple and gold, man. He would look
but
great in purple and
also,
gold.
but also to his credit, it may just be his tactic in being able to push his franchise to give him some more help, with that roster, so that way they can actually be competitive, going forward. And it's not to say that they're not competitive now, because they did push the champions all the way to a game 7, which isn't anything to to be ashamed of. It's something that's very
Yeah.
impressive to be able to move, get them all the way to a game 7. And maybe we would be having a different conversation that they would be the ones potentially in the finals versus the Thunder. But that's not how it worked out. So, with that in mind, you want to try to see if you can make the necessary pieces to continue to be able to compete, because the Thunder, you know, they they they're still relatively young, which is a scary thing, and they have plenty of moves, in terms of what they're able to do
Yeah.
with that roster for years to come. So you don't want to be stagnant, even though you were able to push them to their limit this year. You don't want to be stagnant with your team, and you want to be able to evolve, with as other teams are evolving as well. So that way you're not, your team is not becoming stagnant and kind of stuck where they are, which I feel is kind of a issue right now with, I already mentioned, with the Suns, which is why they're
Hmm.
paying so much money with that 2-year deal. Because Booker is already still wrapping up his current contract that he has now. This is just an extra 2 years tacked on to the existing contract that he's still currently in.
Exactly.
So, but I'm curious, for you all out there, if you guys can, share with us your thoughts on these matters, whether we're talking about any of the extensions or whether we're talking about any of the re-ups that we had with some of these players, or are there any players that we did not mention just now that you guys perhaps are curious about, or that you feel deserve to get their flowers or their due in terms of the impact of those said deals that we have not mentioned. You can let us know down below. But we're going to move forward to our main topic story. And that is centered around a show that is making its return, as well as a major a major toy line that is unexpectedly, I guess not unexpectedly, because I know it's made the rounds in the news, but is has found its director to helm its said a film adaptation. So we're going to talk about not only the Scrubs revival, as I mentioned at the top, but also the Hot Wheels film adaptation finding its director. All right, so let me bring that up now. And we had that here in the background, because as you well know, typically whenever we have our main topic story, we always have that as the background for each episode of this week in pop culture. So we're going to start first on Monday, and this was in an exclusive from Deadline. It was reported that Crazy Rich Asians and Wicked director John M. Chu, pictured here, has been tapped to direct the film adaptation of the toy property Hot Wheels. Currently, the plot is being kept under wraps with that said film. And moving on the other side to the small screen on Thursday, we had ABC reveal that the series Scrubs would be returning thanks to landing a series order with them. Originally running from 9 seasons from 2001 to 2010, the first 7 seasons being on NBC and the final two being on ABC. The show followed intern John J.D. Dorian, played by Zach Braff, as he progressed through his medical career alongside best friend Chris Turk, played by Donald Faison, and his on and off again girlfriend and eventual wife, Elliot Reed, played by Sarah Chalk. Excuse me. The original series also starred Judy Reyes, John C. McGinley, of course, Neil Flynn, and Ken Jenkins. The revival series will not only see Zach Braff, Donald Faison, and Sarah Chalk all reprising their roles, it would also see them take on more significant roles as executive producers. As it stands now, the official logline for the new series states the following: JD and Turk scrubbing together for the first time in a long time. Medicine has changed, interns have changed, but their bromance has stood the test of time. Characters new and old navigate the waters of Sacred Heart with laughter, heart, and some surprises along the way. The new Scrubs series is set to arrive in the 2025-2026 season. So, Spills, between what we have with our big screen news regarding the Hot Wheels movie or the small screen with our Scrubs revival, what are your thoughts?
I think we'll start with Hot Wheels because everybody loves Scrubs. I don't feel like I've met anybody who was like, "Oh, that was a dumb show. We didn't like Scrubs." I feel like, that show had a lot of heart. So we'll start with Hot Wheels. We've talked about this many times on on this podcast program, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you have an IP doesn't mean you have to make a movie out of it. I buy my son Hot Wheels every week at the grocery store. We go through, he sits and he holds his face like this and he's like, what are we gonna buy? So I'm gonna have to buy tickets to this movie. But I'm not gonna
Of
like it
course.
because how do you make a plot about a toy? It's a toy that people play with. They look like either traditional street cars or very cool cars? Are they going to have a thing where it's the battle between the very cool cars and the production cars and the strange dinosaurs and other kind of things that they make into cars? Like one of my son's cars is a hot dog. So it's like I have like 300 of them in my house right now, so I already know I'm going to be spending money on this, but you probably won't have to, so you're lucky in that regard, Brandon. So I just don't know. I
So
don't.
far as I know.
Yeah. So far as you know, yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. 2026 is just around the corner. He might be watching the movie too. So, yeah. I mean, I get that it's an IP. Like, I kind of poo-pooed Barbie a little bit for it being an IP, but I got that. Obviously Barbie is a much more uh interesting and pivotal toy than the Hot Wheel. The Hot Wheel is just like kids like cars, we gonna make toy cars. That's not really a big brainer. But the fact that they made Barbie into something that was a first time thing, normally girls used to play with just baby dolls, and to be playing with something that's aspirational to be a different kind of woman is a different thing. But I guess it's aspirational to have a Bugatti or something, but it's not the same kind of thing. I don't feel like it's the same kind of like cultural zeitgeist that Barbie was. So we'll see. How do you feel about it?
So I'll say this, and it's kind of along the same lines of what you said. Um, do I am I excited about a Hot Wheels movie? No, but I'm sure merchandising folks are very excited about the prospect of a Hot Wheels movie. But with all of that said, whether we're talking about how excited I am, how excited merchandising people are, there have been examples where we've had different there have been examples where we've had different properties that on paper don't seem like they can work, and I've tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, and it ends up surprising me. Like a good example of that would be what they've done with the Lego franchise. I remember when they made that decision to make Spills a Lego movie, and I remember on paper I was like, they're making a Lego movie. Like, what is the plot of this Lego movie going to be? And the movie was amazing.
No, the
So
movie
like,
was amazing.
I don't know. I'm skeptical right now, but I will say I'm going to be open minded enough to wait to see what they do with it before before I disregard it, because I've seen it in the past where on paper something seems like it doesn't work, and the cynical side of me is only thinking of, oh, they're just making this because of the merchandising, which is still true, by the way. But if the movie is good, the movie is good, and I can't harp on or be mad at them making a movie about it if they're actually able to make a decent movie. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna take a wait and see approach when it comes to the Hot Wheels movie. But what about Scrubs?
Oh well, I'm very excited about Scrubs. They have been doing a lot more about Scrubs in media. Like they did that big Super Bowl commercial, if not this year, the year before, with the main characters. Like I said, Scrubs was a show, like, it was before the officification of sitcom TV shows. It's like more of a traditional sitcom.
Yeah,
Um, it's just so much that it's just had a great heart of a show. So I don't have anything bad to say about it. It isn't long enough that they haven't been doing it that you'd be like, how are these people still doctors? Because doctors be doctors for a long time. So it's not like, okay, 15 years after the show ended, why would we care to see what these doctors are still doing? General Hospital's been on TV for a very long time, and no one ever seems to think that that's a tired and overused shows. And there's not really a lot of doctor style shows that are comedic. Most of them are very dramatic or
yeah,
serious. So there's
yeah.
space for it in the zeitgeist. I think it's plenty of space for Scrubs. I'm very interested to see what they do,
So I'm gonna say something crazy right now,
ladies and
and
gentlemen.
if we're talking about Scrubs, it and I remember having this conversation not regarding TV shows but about movies, where it's like, you have not seen this. I've seen Scrubs, but when it comes to Scrubs, I was not a frequent watcher. Like, it was
Okay,
something
that's
where
understandable.
it was something where, like, it was on TV. I was very casual. It was on TV, and I was like, oh, okay, episode of Scrubs. But it wasn't like something like, oh my gosh, a new episode of Scrubs is coming on this week. Like, I haven't seen a whole bunch of the episodes. I've seen maybe one or two here and there, and that's because of it being in syndication. So, when it comes to this series, what I did watch, I enjoyed,
Hmm.
but it's something. Again, people gonna be mad. I could take it or leave. Like, I never really got on the bandwagon where it was where like I had to have Scrubs in my life. But like, when I did have an opportunity to watch it, it was fun. Like, I enjoyed it. Um, I mean, I don't want to yuck anyone else's yum for those
You
folks that
yucking it,
are
ladies and gentlemen. Do you see him yucking our
any
yum?
folks that are out there, because I'm sure there's shows that I have where I feel some type of way about it. People said they haven't, like, if they aren't like on board and seen like every single episode. I'm sure there are episodes for you, because you've seen so much of it, that you could probably quote. I'm
Oh
not I'm not
yeah.
at that level.
I mean, they made the
I'm not
dance
at
that
that
he did,
level.
the dance from the dance that Donald Faison does in the show that he just made up on the spot is the dance that Jim Carrey did on the latest Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Like
Yeah,
it's on Fortnite. It's a show that definitely transcends, but without being like, because sometimes when stuff transcends, it's like, you really need to watch every single episode. You don't need to watch every single episode of
Scrub.
Scrubs. It's not episodic in that way that you need to it's a great. We just gonna throw in some episodes of this show. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be some zany hijinks. Everyone's gonna have a good time.
So what you're explaining is that, because, as I said, I haven't seen enough of the episodes to really garner a feel of it being episodic, and I trust, you've seen way more than I have. So, from what you're explaining, it takes more of a Seinfeld approach, where things happen over the course of the
Yeah,
season. Just things happen,
yeah, yeah. It's
which
just and it's not because a lot of the medical shows will have like intrigue about someone being super sick or something.
yeah,
That's not really what they talk about with the show. It's more so like if you've ever been at the hospital. Unfortunately, we hope you do not go to the hospital. But like,
right.
let's say you've been in there a few hours and you just kind of see the people behind the desk, just like they've got everybody situated, and they're just kind of like shooting the breeze. I think that that's definitely where that show is. It's in that part of the job where the humanity kind of like dealing with the lawyer, or like he's a guy that like is not like your lawyer that you go to like get your house closed or something. It's like a lawyer that like, oh no, he's writing papers all day, so he seems like he's a stressed out individual. And then they got a crazy janitor in the show, so I think it's got a lot of heart. And then also the relationship between Zach Braff and Donald Faison in that show is truly one of the great bromances in TV. So I
For
think
sure.
that they like definitely do well with that part of it.
For sure, for sure. So, I mean, as I said, I could take it one way, take it or leave it one way or another, but I can appreciate just as I'm very passionate about certain shows that, there is a love and appreciation for the show and that it has been around, as long as it has. And who knows, maybe with the revival series, it draws me in and it becomes something that I watch, more frequently. But, as I said, I could maybe pick off my hand, the number of episodes of Scrubs that I've watched. The ones that I have watched were fun, but it wasn't, again, something where like I had followed the story arcs of what was happening with certain characters, of characters that left, characters that came on board, and that type of thing. So,
Hmm.
but how about you guys out there? I'm sure many of you guys out there are, devoted Scrubs fans. Maybe you are shocked and appalled at the fact that I have not,
That's
delved
right.
as deep
Shame
into
him, ladies and
Scrubs
gentlemen.
as you
Shame
guys
him.
have.
Shame.
um,
Shame.
but
Shame.
as I mentioned before, it's never too late. As there have been series that I have been late to the bandwagon on, and in the long run ended up enjoying. So, what is it? Wednesday was like that for me. True Blood was like that for me.
Suki.
The Office was like that for me. Because it was in syndication so much that eventually I started to catch on to a lot of those episodes, and I was able to actually catch up, seeing entire seasons due to like marathons and syndication. Yeah, yeah. But that's gonna do it for this episode of This Week in Pop Culture. I know we had a little bit of a shorter show, but I we did have a couple of things that I did want to be able to dive into, and then of course a little later we do have a small little episodic breakdown to do. That being none other than the Dexter Show. We have episodes 1 and 2 that we will be talking about a little later. So hopefully you guys had a chance to watch the episode. If you haven't, then you can catch it after the fact. But we will be going live at 2 o'clock today, Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be on the lookout for that. But with that being said, I'm going to punt it over to Spills. Spills, can you tell folks where they can find you?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on Instagram at Truly Still. I just want to let you know that I said people like dogs in movies. I took Teresa to go see the Superman movie last night, and oh my God, did that crypto? I didn't tell her the crypto was in the movie or anything, and she was like, "Superman's got a dog." She was just so pleased with all the scenes with the dogs, and I just feel like this is what we would talk about DC comics. You need to make movies with heart. You can't just make movies that are too dark and gritty and everybody just is an anti-hero. People just like heroes. Superman was a good dude. We like good dudes. His mama and them, she was talking crazy into her phone. Yeah, it was a lot of us in the movie too. It was very much a lot of representation, and we like to see that. So, I just love the movie, and we really enjoyed it. So,
Excellent.
back to you, Brandon.
All right. So Again, I want to thank Spills for hopping on as co-host for This Week in Pop Culture. I'm again your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. I too did see the Superman movie, and I will say this, and maybe we'll hold it off for a different episode. Maybe we'll hold it off for next week, because by that time, many people have seen it. Not just not to say that not a lot of people won't see it this week, but I feel like even more would have seen it and had it kind of settle in their heads by that time. I thought it was a very good movie. I don't think it's James Gunn's best movie,
Okay.
especially not his best superhero movie. His best superhero movie
Well,
for
that's the
me
Guardians of
is
the Galaxy.
the third Guardians of the Galaxy specifically, and the Suicide Squad movie. What he was able to
Okay.
do with that. Between those two, I feel like those are his better movies of his than the Superman movie. Um, I had my reasons. There were elements of the Superman movie that I did like, and there were other elements that I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
But like I said, overall, very good movie. Not James Gunn's best movie. It's not the greatest thing since sliced bread that a lot of people are
No,
trying to
no,
make
we're
it out
not
to
saying
be,
that. But I mean,
but
but
it's
it's a
very
good
good.
movie.
It's very good.
It's better than
Very
the
good.
Snyder Superman movies. I will tell you that. The Snyder
It's
Superman
very good.
movies were like, ugh,
Yeah,
ugh. But we can
it's
talk about
very
some of the
good
plot points when more people have seen it because we don't want to do
for
spoilers.
sure.
We don't do
For sure.
spoilers on this show, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what we do.
For sure. For sure. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there. And for some of you, I'll see you guys in a little over an hour as we talk about some Dexter. Peace out.
Peace.